Hi, I'm Dennis Borda, the CEO of Borda Enterprises, and today I'd like to showcase a brand new, non-traditional autoregressive system that, beyond just simulating word after word autoregressively, it thinks in sort of these latent thought vectors, which over time influence the chat history and chat functions, not like the regular LLM where it beyond the stateless or potentially plug and play memory functions, it just regularly types words out to you, but instead mimics those cognitive precursors that we like to see in regular human capabilities. This is not AGI. Annie V2 is what I like to call it, and the goal of it was to simulate the cognitive precursors like belief state, memory driven chat function, as well as like background exploration, just so it can persistently internally think and have its own sort of thing that it can reach out to, right, like a human does naturally. So everything here basically starts off as the at the chat function level, no different than regular ChatGPT or anything. Everything runs in Docker, and then we use Node.js as the proxy to run everything on localhost from Docker. And then we basically just start here simply. Right now, the actual application is loading. It tells me it's offline at the moment, but then once it gets up and running, then we get to actually chat with the model here, and then persistent down the line through these tabs that we have over here to access all of the other memory functions and diffusion processes that we run on Annie V2. So here we are working with a small model. I had to change it to a 4 billion parameter model just for the fact that it was having a terrible time loading for our video purposes. Right now we're having a sort of memory output issue where it's able to internally, in its own personal memory, internally talk to itself, but it has just so much going on that it's not able to actually process all the data that's flowing through it. Just from we have a code review where it overall it looks through the entire code base. Just it was something that I was working on, and it looks through its entire code base just to basically work on itself, right? I mean, as an AI researcher, in any AI researcher looks in a way for AI to actually improve itself, and I was just looking into a way for Annie to improve itself. And so here we have the some system prompts, just generally guiding the personal memory as well as its own code review, generally guiding its own memory, as well as the belief state guiding its own personal memory, which in turn alters the chat history directionally. And because of that, the belief state itself is governed by the history, the system prompts, everything all at once is getting into that belief state, which then guides that conversation that we have in the chat, which takes a very long time to actually get a response out of, just because of all the things going on. I don't necessarily have the computing power for it, but it just as a general demonstration, it works, and we can see that it's working based on that belief state. One way to actually visualize that belief state is thinking of it as like a sort of big pie, and so it takes the nearest memory based on that specific thing. So when we go through that diffusive process, it mentally maps out, okay, for example, in the personal memory, we have everything talking about hello that we just said. And so anything that talks about hello and maybe some general AI to talk about what we're talking about, it goes to that region in its, it gives like a vector parameter, which then grabs that specific memory and so on, just how it may grab the code review talk that it has in its personal memory long term as well. So here we have the live vector decodings in our background thinker tab. It's just a live general direction of what we're actually looking and thinking at. Then we have right underneath that the curiosity and explore variables. generally when the curiosity is lower, the exploration of whatever it may be that we're thinking about goes higher. This is just so we don't repeatedly think about the same thing, where Annie V2 thinks about the same thing. And then right underneath that we have the background goal, which is just like one thing to like reach out and to think about in the background thinker. Just a sort of like aim bot sort of thing to like look at, not anything special. Now to think about the diffusive part itself, we have the goal, which we have the ticker that drifts that goal around, which is either automatic or something that we set on our own. That diffusive process is like a static that we internally give based on the goal, and it creates a series of steps, and these steps is what alters the overall general direction of what we're trying to do here. On the right side here, you actually see the sources that it's pulling the info from, so like it can actually be up to date, as well as from memory. And these sources and from memory and the goal and the beliefs, they all transpire into one series of steps that then continuously keep this operation going. And then once those goals and steps through the diffusive process happens, it gives a after like every 50 iterations to 100 iterations, it gives like a big paragraph into this ticker area here, which then gets added into the next steps of the diffusive process that continues on and on and on and on. It basically just gives a short summary based off what it's doing in the explore down here. And overall, it just adds up into one chat update that when we then talk to it, it has like this sort of all these things that give it this nuance, and currently it doesn't necessarily work that well, but over time I'm not going to be working on it as much. We have the latent future thinker, which can make predictions based off whatever we may give it, as well as the code review that I showed earlier. But it just all adds up into one nuanced output that then transcribes into regular chat functions, like you may see on ChatGPT, just on a smaller scale. Hopefully all this was comprehensible enough, even to my own extent. After working on this for months, I forget why I added certain things or why I didn't do certain things, and then I forget about things, and then I don't even realize what I was working on beforehand, and I think that's part of the process of coding. I mean, you kind of always need to iterate based on some sort of thing that you don't really remember but needs to be fixed. So overall, I mean, we're working right now on Annie V3 and Annie V4, a lot simpler and more focused on a specific task, not necessarily something as wide-ranged and as experimental as this. I hope you liked watching this video. Please give a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.